All right, everybody, welcome to this week's Tri-State Champs for Thursday, May 14th, and we are super excited to have with us former standout KHQA point guard and current head coach of the Clark University women's basketball program, Miss Courtney Boyd. And first of all, we're super glad to have you with us. I know this has been sort of a wonderful evolution. You're having some great success at Clark. Looking back, this has not been an easy road. You have certainly paid your dues. If you're telling somebody about getting into coaching, what's the first thing that you kind of try to disillusion them about the journey?
I think the biggest thing is you just have to be comfortable with getting to know people that you have no clue who they are or where they came from. Contacts are the biggest thing, and that's going to help you along the way. But the other thing is that you have to take risks. You have to be able to pick up and go places. It might not be your dream job the first, second, or third time. You might, in my instance, you might have a school get rid of their athletic department, right? And so you have to be able to take those risks, and some of those things following are the things that you're looking forward to. Not being able to predict the future, being able to work with a lot of different bosses, and just connecting yourself while you're out on the road recruiting is really important.
You kind of touched on it. You kind of beat me to the punch about the whole AIB situation, because here it is. I think you had 3 or 4 different assistants jobs, and you finally land that first head coaching job. And all of a sudden, the program shutters. Were you disillusioned at that point?
Absolutely. It was one of those where, oh my goodness, this is great. I can get back closer to home. My sisters and their families live in the area. My parents are only 3 hours away with my grandparents, and this is going to be great. We get 3/4 the way through the season, and things weren't so great. So it was definitely an experience that I will never forget. But it was a very humbling experience in a positive way. You think that you've made it, right? You think that you've gotten to where you want to be, and you know that it's not all about the money or the level or things like that. It's more about, this is what you wanted. You wanted to be a head coach, and so made it for 9 months, and then we were told one day that it just was going to be no longer. And you realize that it's a lot bigger than basketball at that point. You have student athletes that, what are they going to do? Where are they going to go? What's their next step? This was their dream for 4 years, and now it's cut short. Or are they going to be able to graduate? Do they go back home? What if they can't afford school because their scholarship was what was keeping them here? Things like that. It became, like I said, it became a lot bigger than basketball at that point. And then I realized that this is exactly why I want to do what I want to do. And so here we are.
The Clark call comes in the wake of that, and that has to feel like a one of those golden parachutes or one of those second lifelines that fall out of the sky to you. You've done so very well there, and when you started, you didn't have a ton of talent. What's kind of been the key to the success of this program? Because you keep finding ways to win 20 games every season.
Yeah, when I first got here, there were a couple core pieces, and we knew that what we were going to have to do was build around that. And so the thing with recruiting is you have to recruit to your personality and your style. I like to think that I'm a relationship coach. I think that's very important, to get to know them on a personal level, and the things that they bring to the table, but what they're interested in and why they want to be a college athlete as well. And obviously, how I operated as a player. They have to be competitive, and they have to know how to win. So there are a lot of things in the area. We can recruit close to us within 45 minutes and have some success at the smaller schools. We can recruit in Wisconsin and Illinois, right across the river. Very similar setup to KHQA. Be honest with you, with the tri-states all right there very handily. So we've had a lot of success with smaller towns, smaller cities and things where they're debating between, do I make that jump and go to the Division II level? Do I stay and be the star at the Division III level? Or do I challenge myself and kind of fall somewhere in between? I'm still able to win those games, still able to, compete at the national tournament and things like that. So that, as we're selling Clark, not only academically with coaching females, is it academics, which is great, But the success of the program and the family feel that we have created here, our coaching staff has done a great job making it just somewhere where people like to be. So that's something that, day in and day out, if they want to be in the gym, I think we've done our job.
Not to make political in any way, but there is certain level of comfort that some girls and women have playing for female coaches. And obviously, I know for you that you touched on the relationship side of things. That's incredibly important in anything that you do. And you've kind of exemplified that along the way. It is more than just X's and O's. Just how important is it for you to be sort of a mentor to the young women who play for you?
Wow, that's probably number one, to be honest with you. Of course, my competitive nature will never go away. That's just part of it. I think you have to have that. You have to be a little off the beaten path as a coach in your mindset. But the relationship piece is huge. They're going away from their families for the first time. Some of them are 3 to 4 hours, some of them are states away, and some of them are 20 minutes. And everybody reacts differently. And I think it's very important for the families to feel comfortable with where they're sending, their prospective student athlete. And I think it's very important for the student athlete to feel comfortable. And the other thing is a lot of players, they've grown up with male coaches, myself included. I never had a female coach until I got to Dixie State. And so it was one of those, it's nerve-wracking as well. Are we going to butt heads because we are both females and we both have this opinion or this passion, or am I going to love it because I've never experienced that? So it is something that at times we have to sell, and there are times we have to sell it more to the parents than we do to the student athlete, just because we can sell the 4-year, and I say sell in a way that we can explain the 4-year plan to the student athlete, but the relationship between coaches and players to the parents sometimes becomes an even harder explanation, for lack of better terms.
I mean this as the highest compliment to you, but your success in this business is in no way a surprise to me as somebody who watched you play at Keokuk and kind of followed along from afar when you won a national championship at Kirkwood. Just to this point, you've touched on it. I mean, you were always gritty and scrappy and always felt like you were great in control. Some of that translate over to great coaching, that point guard mentality, that point guard, I guess, persona that you've always had since you've played?
It has. And to be completely honest with you, you may disagree, but it's a running joke in our family that I was never the best on, any team. It was because I loved it and because I hated losing. And so that work ethic kind of just became one of those things that I got used to. I knew that there was always somebody else out there that was going to challenge me or was a little bit faster, could pass a little bit better, jump a little bit higher, those types of things. And so knowing that and getting into the coaching realm of things, there's always somebody out there that does something differently and is going to challenge you in a different way. The pressure situations, I thrive on. I think that those are really exciting times. And I think that's the point guard in me. What can we do and how can we do it and how can we win this game strategically? But I also think I've had to take a little bit of a step back because I don't have as much control on the sidelines as I did when the ball was in my hand, right? So I think the looking at it in a different light, what are they thinking? Why are they thinking that? How are they delivering that to me? And then making sure that, coming out of timeouts or half times and look, we're going to win this game, but we've got to be very precise on how we're going to do that. And that was never when I was a point guard, it was like, okay, let's go, let's do this. We have to make more baskets than them. Now as a coach, they're running this defense or this offense. We have to be a little bit better, and you have to put the right people in the right place at the right time. And sometimes those risks that you take, you have to be willing to answer questions after games of why it didn't work or why it worked really well.
Isn't that the full circle purpose of it all, though, with basketball? Now you can see it from an outside level, is to kind of find out who you are as a person and who you are, with your feet to the flames. And you had your feet to the flames. You had a ton of success as a player, and you're now having it as a coach as well. I mean, there's almost a DNA thing to it, isn't there?
I would like to agree with you, to be honest. I think that that goes a long way. Teaching someone how to win is really hard to do, which it goes back to my previous comment of we recruit competitive winners. I think that if they've come in and they've had individual success, that's phenomenal. If they've never been on a team that has had a ton of success, it's hard for them to understand why they aren't as important anymore and why the team is more important. And so that, like you mentioned, coming full circle, that's a real thing, knowing that you can't change the outcome of the game from the sideline anymore. You're not coach sub me in, you can't do that. And so I have really figured out a lot about myself as well as the people that I enjoy surrounding myself with. And luckily for us, honestly, we've been successful at it. So we're very happy with where we are.
Head coaching opportunities are hard to come by. I mean, I'm not doing anything you don't know specifically and better than anybody else in this. And it seems like you really maximized this one. What you kind of learned about the journey? Because to some degree, even not so many years ago, women's college basketball was still a men's club on the coaching side of things. It's expanded at a lot at all levels now. And that certainly has to be gratifying and validating as well.
For sure. I think that anytime you see a female become a head coach and be a role model in that light with that title for the females that they're coaching, that's a positive. And we don't talk titles a ton. That's not a big thing for us. We're a coaching staff. It's not me and them or them and us, or, it's a we thing. And so I think that the journey has really, it's trying. It's tough. And there are times where you're thinking, man, am I doing the things right? Is this what I'm really meant to do? Are we going to be as successful this year as we were last year? Are we putting too much pressure on it? All of those things go through your head and you just wonder, man, what's next? There's always the expectation, and with that competitive nature, your team, we've recruited a team that they expect that success as well, and they're really looking forward to it, but they put that pressure on themselves. And so in that journey, we have to remind ourselves every season that, look, it's going to take baby steps. There are going to be games that we win that maybe we shouldn't have won at that time, and there are going to be games that we lose that we definitely shouldn't have lost either. But our ultimate goal is to play our best basketball in March. And that's when we can really figure out, who we are and what we're made of. So the whole thing is a journey. It's funny that you say that, beginning to end in the season, beginning to end of every coaching career. So it's just, every group is different. And this year we, with our freshmen coming in, is going to be different than last year's freshmen. And so that's probably the most trying part, is getting everybody on the same page in a short amount of time and then finding success in a few months.
Not to get scabs, but I did get to see you coach this year. Probably not your favorite game of the year, but as far as coaching, bench demeanor, is it completely organically you? Is it a composite of coaches you add? How much of that sort of has evolved for you as you kind of gone through this career?
I would say probably 50-50 between, the three coaches. Well, four, I would say, that really stand out to me, from, your peewee basketball coaches, your dads that were very fiery and exciting, to, Jerry Jerome, everybody knows that name. He was very fiery and foot stomp. And then I go to Kirkwood, and there's no secret that he's also very fiery. So I think I come by that, honestly, to be honest with you. And then when I got finished playing and I got, mixed in with Steve Williamson when he was at Iowa Wesleyan, and then moved on and on, I think it follow. I don't know if I find them or if they find me, but I think it's a personality thing. So I would say 50-50, 50% of how I was coached or who I coached under. And then the other 50% is, I think that deep down, it's inside of me too, to be fiery and show that passion and that motivation. So luckily for the team, or unluckily, whichever way you look at it, they don't really have a choice. So if that passion is going to come out, and wins and losses really, it's not all about the wins and losses, but on game day, that's probably when it shows the most.
Obviously, we have a home to bent on this, and I just would like to know, was there a singular most resonant Keokuk experience that you think that you and anybody within the Keokuk High School, not just coach staff, but teaching staff as well, who really had an important influence on you that you'd like to shout out as being for this wonderful journey?
Wow. You should have given this to me like a week ago. It's going to take it. This one might take me a while.
These are
Of course,
hard, I know.
it
People
is.
usually.
Yeah, you're really putting me on the spot. And if I forget someone, I'm going to feel horrible. So
We can always edit back, Courtney. Go back.
Okay,
and
that's
punch
perfect.
back
That's
in.
perfect. Jerry Jerome, obviously, there's no questions there. He was phenomenal going from my 6th, 7th grade year when he talked, he was trying to get me to come to Warsaw, and then all of a sudden he shows up at Keokuk. So that's a big one. And then honestly, teachers and principals and everybody, the mix, I think, man, it's really tough, but I would say honestly, the support staff that you have, every teacher teaches differently. Everybody gives you a little bit different, but the people in the front office with your principals and your secretaries and those, they were at every single thing of ours. They were in purple and black and white every single night. And that's awesome, whether it was our athletic director and their assistants or, things like that. So one person specifically, man, I'm going to need weeks to figure that out. But the support of being a Keokuk chief is, it's a different feel. It's a different feel. And when you're able to do it with your sisters as well, that goes a long ways.
Certainly does. I need to ask you this because we're kind of asking everybody this. We're in the midst of the biggest sports shutdown since World War II, and you're trying to finish off recruiting and trying to plan for next year and run off-season weight programs without an open weight room and monitor. How strange has this been, trying to burn a program under these conditions, Courtney?
Very strange. It's honestly, we go back to the relationship piece, and with being a relationship coach, it's very hard. We've created a couple of competitions throughout our team to get them excited about what we have going on. We missed a whole postseason, which is not normal. We obviously didn't get to experience the national tournament for the 2nd year in a row, but we also didn't get to do a lot of breakdown things after the season was finished. And that's usually where we build, okay, these are the things we want you to work on going into the summer. So we had our end of the year meetings, and we've done a lot of things through Zoom and our group chats, and we try to stay in touch, but it's different. And it's going to be really different bringing on a new group. We just talked yesterday as a team. What's it going to be like to bring on a new class, a class of freshmen through a Zoom meeting? Could you imagine being your first interaction with your whole team through a Zoom? I mean, it's awkward enough when you're 16, 17, 18, trying to figure out what am I going to do without my parents, let alone sitting on your own in front of the camera. So it's entirely different. We've had to be very creative. A lot of stealing, what's your idea, or what's your idea? How are you doing this? But I think that goes for everybody. We've done a lot. We've probably done more body weight workouts than we'll ever do in our lifetime. But we're having fun with it. And I think that's the important thing too, is to remember that everybody's going through this together, and that if we can find some fun in it, some silver lining, that use your basketball as an outlet instead of a stressor. And that's kind of that's what we're searching for right now.
Last one for you, Miss Courtney, and kind of save this one for last. And I know you can't predict what the future holds. And obviously, I think you're pretty happy right where you're at Clark, what you're
Absolutely.
doing. But again, who knows who throws money or what wonderful opportunity comes. I mean, that's the nature of your business. But looking at the overall arc of your career, it has to feel like this point, for all the dues paying you've done and everything that's gone into it, was this the right course for looking backwards now? Did you hit the exact right road you wanted to hit? And is there an ideal ending for you, I guess, at the end of that road when this is all said and done?
The answer to the first question is absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. This is, I honestly don't know what else I would do. And I know a lot of people say that, but I try to think, does my brain work that way if I had to have that job? Can I be as successful doing this job? Those types of things. I am right where I need to be for my sanity, for my family's sanity. You know, everybody's happy at this point as far as doing what following your passion and doing what you love. The end goal, like you mentioned, you never know. But I do want to always surround myself with very passionate coaching staffs and athletes. And if there ever is an opportunity, it's going to have to be one that you just can't pass up. It's, you know, I'm not looking to just jump on the next this or the next that. That's not where I did that when I was younger. I'm very happy with where I am, but I think that there are opportunities out there in the future that would be very intriguing. And it has to be the right opportunity. And it's not about money, but it's location. And at that point in time, what's your family look like? And can you win there? I mean, that's essentially how you're going to keep your job. Can you win, and can you graduate student athletes from there? So all of those things going into it. But Clark has been great to me, and I can't say enough good things about where we are right now, and we aren't quite finished here. There are a lot of things that we're looking forward to, and a couple of championships, just like any coach, is what you're working towards. So we're a little bit far away from where we need to be, and hopefully this year gets us a little closer.